Prabhu
Okay.
is doing the live stream.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, done, Mataji.
Okay. So we are reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 13, verse 44.
Adi Lila. And now I am Majidela. I want to get it. Okay, Mataji. Give me some more time.
Okay. So by that time, the prayer, Mataji, just a mode setting. Sanakair Bhagavan Lokan Nulokam Pranaragataha Vimurjya Netra Vidiram Prityodvaha Vismayan. The great devotee Uddhava soon came back from the abode of the Lord to the human plane, and wiping his eyes, he awakened his reminiscence in the past and spoke to Vidura in a pleasing mood. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Where is this prayer? All glory to the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glory to Lord Nityananda. All glory to Sri Advaita Acharya. And all glory to all the devotees of Sri Lord Chaitanya. Okay, Maiti, after you. You can get going.
Okay, Prabhu. Text 44.
Adi Lila, test 44, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Adi Lila, chapter 13, text 44.
Just a minute. I want to settle.
Hamani Radhamati will start reading, Mataji. You can read after 15 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Okay, Mataji? Yeah.
Okay.
Ananta Chaitanya Lila, Shudra Jiva Hona, Ke Varnita Pare, Taha Vistara Kariya. Translation. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are unlimited. How much can a small living entity elaborate about those transcendental pastimes? Text 45. Sutra Kore Gane Yadi Apane Ananta Sahasra Vadane Theno Nahi Paya Hanta. Translation. If Sheshanaga Ananta personally were to make the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya into sutras, even with his thousands of mouths, there is no possibility that he could find their limit. Text 46. Damodara Swarupa Ara Gupta Murari Mukhya Lila Sutre Likiya Che Vichari. Translation. Devotees like Sri Swarup Damodar and Murari Gupta have recorded all the principal pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in the form of notes after deliberate consideration. Text 47. Se anusare likhi Lila Sutra Gana Vistare Varni Achena Taha Dasa Vrindavana. Translation. The notes kept by Sri Swarup Damodar and Murari Gupta are the basis of this book. Following those notes, I write of all the pastimes of the Lord. The notes have been described elaborately by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Text 45. Chaitanya Lilara Vyasa Dasa Vrindavana Madhura Kariya Lila Karila Rachana. Translation. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, the authorized writer of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is as good as Srila Vyasadeva. He has described the pastimes in such a way as to make them sweeter and sweeter. Text 49. Grantha vistara bhaye chadila ye stanam se stane kichu kariba vyakyana. Translation. Being afraid of his books becoming too voluminous, he left some places without vivid descriptions. I shall try to fill those places as far as possible. Text 50. Prabhura Lilamruta Teno Kaila Ashwadana Tanrabhukta Shesha Kichu Kariye Charvana. The transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya have actually been relished by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. I am simply trying to chew the remnants of left by him. Text 51. Adi Lila Sutra Like Shuna Bhakta Gana Sankshepe Likhiye Samyakna Yayalikana. Translation. My dear devotees of Lord Chaitanya, let me now write a synopsis of the Adi Lila. I write off these pastimes in brief because it is not possible to describe them in full. Text 52. Kono Vancha Purana Lagi Vrajendra Kumara Avatirna Haite Mane Karila Vichara. To fulfill a particular desire within his mind, Lord Krishna, Vrajendra Kumara, decided to descend to this planet after mature contemplation. Text 53. Aage avatara lila ye guru parivara sankshepe kahiye kaha navyaya vistara. Lord Krishna therefore first allowed his family of superiors to descend to the earth. I shall try to describe them in brief because it is not possible to describe them fully. Text 54 to 55. Sri Sachi Jagannatha Sri Madhva Puri Keshava Bharati Ara Sri Ishwara Puri Advaita Achara Ara Pandita Srivasa Acharya Ratna Vidyanidhi Thakura Haridasa. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna, before appearing as Lord Chaitanya, requested these devotees to precede him. Sri Sachi Devi, Jagannath Mishra, Madhavendra Puri, Keshava Bharati, Ishwara Puri, Advaita Acharya, Srivasa Pandit, Acharya Ratna, Vidyanidhi, and Thakura Haridasa. Text 56. Shri Hatta Nivasi Shri Upendra Mishra Nama Vaishnava Pandita Dhani Sad Guna Pradhanam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. There was also Sri Upendra Mishra, a resident of the district of Sri Hatta. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, a learned scholar, a rich man, and a reservoir of all good qualities. Purport. Upendra Mishra is described in the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika 35 as the Gopala named Parjanya. The same personality who was formerly the grandfather of Lord Krishna appeared as Upendra Mishra at Sri Hatta and begot 7 sons. He was a resident of Daka Dakshina Grama in the district of Sri Hatta. There are still many residents of that part of the country who introduce themselves as belonging to the Mishra's family of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 57 to 58. Sapta Mishra Tandra Putra Sapta Rishishwara Kamsare Paramananda Padmanabha Sarveshwara Jagannatha Janardana Trailokya Natha Nadiyate Ganga Vasa Kaila Jagannatha. Translation. Upendra Mishra had 7 sons who were all saintly and most influential. Kamsari, Paramananda, Padmanabha, Sarveshwara, Jagannatha, Janardana, and Trailokyanatha. Jagannatha Mishra, the 5th son, decided to reside on the bank of the Ganges at Nadia. Text 59. Jagannatha Mishra Vara Padavi Purandara Nanda Vasudeva Rupa Sadguna Sagara. Translation. Jagannatha Mishra was designated as Purandara. Exactly like Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev, he was an ocean of all good qualities. Text 60. Tanrapatne Sachi Nama Pativrata Sati Yanrapita Nilambara Nama Chakravarti. Translation. His wife, Srimati Sachi Devi, was a chaste woman, highly devoted to her husband. Sachi Devi's father's name was Nilambara, and his surname was Chakravarti. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhyasa, in the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika 104, it is mentioned that Nilambar Chakravarti was formerly Gargamuni. Some of the family descendants of Nilambar Chakravarti still live in the village of the name Magdoba in the district of Faridpur in Bangladesh. His nephew was Jagannath Chakravarti, also known as Mahmud Thakura, who became a disciple of Pandita Goswami and stayed at Jagannath Puri as the priest of Tota Gopinatha. Nilambar Chakravarti lived at Navadvipa in the neighborhood of Belapukuria. This fact is mentioned in the book Prema Vilasa. Because he lived near the house of Kazi, the Kazi was also considered one of the maternal uncles of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Kazi used to address Nilambar Chakravarti as Kaka or uncle. One cannot separate the residence of the Kazi from Vamana Pukura because the tomb of the Kazi is still existing there. Formerly, the place was known as Belapukuria and now it is called Vamanapukura. This has been ascertained by archaeological evidence. Text 61. Radha Deshe Janmila Thakura Nityananda Ganga Dasa Pandita Gupta Murari Mukunda. Translation. In Radha Desha, the part of Bengal where the Ganges is not visible, Nityananda Prabhu, Gangadasa Pandita, Murari Gupta, and Mukunda took birth. Purport. Here, Radha Desha refers to the village of the name Ekachakra in the district of Birbhum, near to Burdwan. After the Burdwan railway station, there is another branch line which is called the loop line of the Eastern Railway, and there is a railway station of the name Mallarapura. 8 miles east of this railway station, Ekachakra village is still situated. Ekachakra village extends north and south for an area of about 8 miles. Other villages, namely Veerachandrapura and Veerabhadrapura, are situated within the area of the village of Ekachakra. In honor of the holy name of Veerabhadra Goswami, these places are renowned as Veerachandrapura and Veerabhadrapura. In the Bengali year 1331, 1924, a thunderbolt struck the temple of Ekachakra Grama. Therefore, the temple is now in a broken state. Before this, there was no such accidents in that quarter. Within the temple, there is a deity of Sri Krishna, established by Sri Nityananda Prabhu. The name of the deity is Bankimaraya or Bankaraya. On Bankimaraya's right side is the deity of Janava, and on his left side is Srimati Radharani. The priest of the temple described that Lord Nityananda Prabhu entered within the body of Bankimaraya, and that the deity of Janava Mata was therefore later placed on the right side of Bankimaraya. Afterwards, many other deities were installed within the temple. On another throne within the temple are deities of Muralidhara and Radha Madhava. On another throne are deities of Manomohana, Vrindavan Chandra, and Gauranitai. But Bankimaraya is the deity originally installed by Nityananda Prabhu. On the eastern side of the temple is a ghat known as Kadamba Kandi, on the bank of a river called the Yamuna. And it is said that the deity of Bankimaraya was floating in the water, and Lord Nityananda Prabhu picked him up and then installed him in the temple. Thereafter, in a place known as Baddapura, in the village of Veerachandrapura, about half a mile west, in a place underneath a neem tree, Srimati Radharani was found. For this reason, the Radharani of Bankimaraya was known as Baddapurera Thakurani, the mistress of Baddapura. On another throne on the right side of Bankimaraya is a deity of Yogamaya. Now the temple and temple corridor rest on a high plinth, and on a concrete structure in front of the temple is Kirtan Hall. It is also said that on the northern side of a temple there was a deity of Lord Shiva named Bandeshwara, and that the father of Nityananda Prabhu, Hadai Pandit, used to worship that deity. At present, however, the Bandeshwara deity is missing, and in his place a Jagannath Swami deity has been installed. Lord Nityananda Prabhu did not factually construct any temples. The temple was constructed at the time of Veerabhadra Prabhu. In the Bengali year 1298, 1891, a brahmachari of the name Shivananda Swami repaired the temple, for it had been dilapidated. In this temple, there is an arrangement to offer food to the deity on the basis of 17 seers, about 34 pounds of rice and necessary vegetables. The present priestly order of the temple belongs to the family of Gopijana Vallabha Nanda, one of the branches of Nityananda Prabhu. There is a land settlement in the name of the temple, and income from this land finances the expenditure for the temple. There are 3 parties of priestly Goswamis who take charge of the temple management one after another. A few steps from the temple is a place known as Vishramatala, where it is said that Nityananda Prabhu in his childhood used to enjoy sporting with his boyfriends by enacting the Rasa Lila and various other pastimes of Vrindavan. Near the temple is a place named Imalitala, which is so named because of a big tamarind tree there. According to a party named Nedadi Sampradaya, Veerabhadra Prabhu, with the assistance of 1200 Nedas, Buddhist monks, dug a great lake of the name Shvetaganga. Outside of the temple are tombs of the Goswamis, and there is a small river known as Maudeshwara, which is called the water of Yamuna. Within half a mile from this small river is the birthplace of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. It appears that there was a big Kirtan hall in front of the temple, but later it became dilapidated. It is now covered by banyan trees. Later on, a temple was constructed within which Gaura Nityananda deities are existing. The temple was constructed by the late Prasanna Kumara Karaparma. A tablet was installed in his memory in the Bengali year 1323 AD 1916 in the month of Vaishakha, April-May. The place where Nityananda Prabhu appeared is called Garbhavasa. There is an allotment of about 43 bighas, 14 acres of land to continue the worship in a temple there. The Maharaja of Dinajapura donated 20 bighas of land, about 6.5 acres in this connection. It is said that near the place known as Garbhavasa, Hadai Pandit conducted a primary school. The priests of this place listed in a genealogical table were as follows: Sri Raghavachandra, Jagannath Dasa, Krishna Dasa, Nityananda Dasa, Ramadasa, Vrajamohana Dasa, Kanani Dasa, Gauradasa, Shivananda Dasa, and Haridasa. Krishna Dasa belonged to the Chidiya Kunja at Vrindavan. The date of his appearance is Krishna Janmashtami. Chidiya Kunja is a place now managed by the Goswami of Shringargarh in Vrindavan. There are also known as belonging to the Nityananda family, most probably on the basis of their relationship with Krishnadas. Near Garbhavasa is a place called Bakulatala, where Sri Nityananda Prabhu and his boyfriends used to take part in the sporting activities known as Jalajapeta. Jalajapeta. There is a Bakula tree there that is wonderful because all its branches and sub-branches look like the hoods of serpents. It has been suggested that by the desire of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Anantadeva manifested himself in that way. The tree is very old. It is said that formerly it had two trunks, but later on, when the playmates of Nityananda Prabhu felt inconvenience in jumping from the branches of one trunk to those of the other, Nityananda Prabhu, by his mercy, merged the two trunks into one. Another place nearby is named Hantugada. It is said that Lord Nityananda Prabhu brought all the holy places there. Therefore, the place in the surrounding villages go there instead of to the Ganges to take bath. It is named Hantugada because Srila Nityananda Prabhu used to perform the Dadi Chida festival of distributing chipped rice with yogurt prasadam there, and he took the prasadam kneeling down. A sanctified lake in this place is always full of water throughout the year. A great fair is held there during Gostashtami, and there is another big fair on the birthday of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. In the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika 58 to 63, it is described that Halayuddha, Baladeva, Vishwarupa, and Sankarshana appeared as Nityananda Avaduta. Should I continue, Prabhu, or should I stop? Or anyone would like to continue from text 62?
62. I am Vasanta. I want to continue.
Sure, Mataji,
Translation.
please go ahead.
Mataji, may I read translations and purports? Lord Krishna, Varajendra Kumara first caused countless devotees to appear, and at last he appeared himself. Text 63. Before the appearance of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees of the Navadvipa used to gather in the house of Advaita Acharya. Text 64. In these meetings of the Vaishnava, Advaita Acharya used to recite the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, decrying the path of the philosophical speculation and fruitive activities, and establishing the super excellence of devotional service. Text 65. In all the revealed switches of the Vedic culture, devotional service to Lord Krishna is explained throughout. Therefore, devotees of Lord Krishna do not recognize the process of philosophical speculation, mystic yoga, unnecessary assurity, and so-called religious rituals. They do not accept any process but devotional service. Purport. Our Krishna conscious movement follow the principles. We do not recognize any method of spiritual realization other than Krishna consciousness, devotional service. Sometimes we are criticized by the groups of following Jana, Yoga, Tapasya, or Dharma. But fortunately, we are unable to make any compromise with them. We simply stand on the platform of devotional service and preach the same principle all over the world. Text 64. In the house of Advaita Acharya, all the Vaishnavas took pleasure in always taking Krishna, always worship Krishna, and always chanting the Hare Krishna Nama mantra. Purport. On these principles only, Does the Krishna consciousness movement go on? We have no business other than to talk to Krishna, worship Krishna, and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Mantra, text 67. But Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu felt painted to see all the people without Krishna consciousness simply merging in material sense of enjoyment. Purport. A bona fide devotee of Lord Krishna is always painted to see the fallen conditions of the whole world. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakra used to say there is no society of anything within the world. The only scarcity, scarcity in the Krishna consciousness. This is the vision of all pure devotees. Because of the lack of Krishna consciousness in human society, people are suffering terribly, being merged in an ocean of nuisance and the sense of gratification. A devotee onlooker is very much aggrieved to see such a situation in the world. Text 68. Seeing the condition of the world, he began to think seriously of the how all the people could deliver from the clutches of Maya. Text 69. Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu thought if Krishna himself appears in order to distribute the cult of devotion service, then only will be liberation possible for the all people. Purport. Just as condemned persons can be relieved by a spiritual favor of the chief executive head, the president or the king or the condemned people of the this Kali Yuga can be delivered only by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself or a person especially empowered for the purpose. Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu described that the Supreme Personality of Godhead advent himself to deliver the fallen souls of the age. Test 70. With the consideration of Advaita Acharya Prabhu promoting to cause the Lord Krishna to descend, begin to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna with tulasi leaves and water of the Ganges. Purport. Tulasi leaves and Ganges water with, if possible, a little plop of sandalwood is sufficient paraphernalia to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9.26, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyasam Yomi Bhaktaya Prayachati Tad Oham Bhakta Upahatam Asmani Prayavata Manaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, or a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Following this principle, Advaita Prabhu pleased the super personality of Godhead with tulasi leaves and water of the Ganges. Test 71. By loud cries, he invited Krishna to appear, and this repeated invitation attracted to Lord Krishna is descended. Text 72. Before the birth of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 8 daughters took birth one after another from the womb of Sachi Mata, the wife of Jagannatha Misra. But just after this birth, they all died. Text 73. Jagannatha Misra was very unhappy at the death of his children, one after another. Therefore, desiring a son, he worshipped the lotus feet of the Lord Vishnu. Text 74. After this, Jagannath Misra got a son of the name of Viswarupa, who was most powerful and highly qualified because he was in creation of Baladeva. Purport. Vasudeva was the eldest brother of the Guru Hari, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When arrangements were being made for the marriage of the Viswarupa, he took sannyasa and left home. He took the sannyasa name of Sankara Aranya. In 1431, Sakabada era, AD 1509, he disappeared in the Pandarapura in the district of Solapur as an creation of Sankarana. He is both the immigrant and immediate cause of the creation of the material world. He is non-different from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the Amsa and the Amsi are the part of the whole are not different. As an creation of Sankarsana, Viswarupa belonged to the true manifestation of the Carter Vyaha. In the Guru Kandra Dava, it is said that Viswarupa, after his so-called demise, remained mixed with the Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Text 75. The expansion of Baladeva, known as Sankarshana, in the spiritual world of the ingredient and immediate cause of the material cosmetic manifestation. Test 76. The gigantic universal form of called Viswarupa in creation of the Sankarshana. Thus, we do not find anything within the cosmetic manifestation except the Lord himself. Text 77. Yeah, the threads of the class spread both in the lengthwise and breadwise. Yeah, the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists directly, indirectly within everything we see in the cosmic manifestation. This is not very wonderful for him. Purport. This verse of Srimad Bhagavatam 10.15.35. Test 78. Because Mahasankarshana is the ingredient of the efficient cause of the cosmetic manifestation. He is present in every detail of it. Lord Chaitanya therefore called him his elder brother. The two brothers are known as Krishna and Balarama in this ritual world, but at the present moment they are Chaitanya and Nityai. Therefore, the conclusion of Nityananda Prabhu is the original Sankarshana of Baladeva. Test 79. The husband and wife Jagannath Misra and Sakimata, having gotten Viswarupa as their son, were very pleased with their mind. Because of their pleasure, they specifically began to serve the lotus feet of Govinda. Purport. There is a common saying in India that everyone goes to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he is in distress. But when a person is in an opulence position, he forgets God. In the Bhagavad Gita, 7.16 is confirmed. Katuvidha bhajati mama jaga srukrita ruja artha jaya atujaya ka bhavarata bhajo. If backed by the pieces of activities in the past, four kinds of men, namely those who are distracted, those in need for money, those they are searching after knowledge, and those who are inquisitive because interested in the devotion service. The husband and wife of Jagannath Misra and Sachi Mata were very unhappy because of their 8 daughters had passed away. Now, when they got Viswarupa as their son, certainly they became extremely happy. They knew that it was by the grace of Lord and that by were endowed with such happiness and opulences. Therefore, instead for forgetting the Lord, they became more and more adherent and rendering service to the lotus of Govinda, feet of Govinda. When a common man becomes opulent, he forget God. But the more opulences a devotee becomes by the grace of the Lord, the more he becomes attached to the service of the Lord. Test 80. In the month of in the month of January, in the year of 1406, the Saka era AD 1485, Lord Krishna entered the bodies of the both Jagannath Mishra and Sachi. Purport. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his birth in the year 1407, Shaka era, AD 1486, in the month of the Phalguna, but here we see that he entered the bodies of his parents in the year of 1406. In the month of Magha, therefore, the Lord entered the body of his parents 13 full months before his birth. Generally, a common child remains within the womb of his mother for 10 lunar months, but there the Lord remained within the body of his mother for 13 months. Test 81. Now, Jagannatha Mishra said to Sachi Mata, I see wonderful things. Your body is effluent, and it appears as if the goddess of fortune were now staying personally in my home. Text 82. Anywhere and everywhere I got, all people offer my respect. Even without my asking, they voluntarily give my riches, clothes, and body. Purport. A Brahmana does not become anyone to servant. To render the service of someone, he is the business of Sudra. A Brahmana is always independent because he is the teacher, spiritual master, and advisor of society. The members of the society provided him with all the necessities of life. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, he has divided society in four divisions: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. A society can't run smoothly without the scientific division. A Brahmana should give good advice to all the members of the society. A Kshatriya should look after the administration, maintaining law and order in society. Vaishya should produce and trade to meet all the needs of the society, whereas Sudra should render services to the highest section of society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. Jagannatha Mishra was a Brahmana, therefore, people would send him all bodily necessities, money, clothes, grain, and so on. While Lord Chaitanya was in the womb of Sachimata, Jagannath Mishra received all these necessities of life without asking for them. Because of the presence of the Lord in his family, everyone offered him due respect of the Brahmana. In other words, if a Brahmana or a Vaishnava sticks of his position as an eternal servant of the Lord and execute, he will be the Lord. There is no question of society for the personal maintenance or the needs of his family. Text 83. Sachi Mata told her husband, I see a wonderful, brilliant human being appearing in our space as if offers prayers. Purport. Jagannath Mishra was honorably by everyone on the earth and was supplied with all necessities. Similarly, Mother Sachi was saw many demigods outer space offering praise to her because of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence in her womb. Text 84. Jagannath Misra then replied, in a dream, I saw effluent abode of the Lord enter my heart. Text 84. From my heart, it entered your heart. I therefore understand that a great personality will soon take birth. Test 86. After this conversation, both husband and wife are very jubilant and together they rendered service to the household Salagrama Sila. Excuse me, 1 second. Perfect. Especially in every Brahmana house, there must be a Salagrama Sila to be worshipped by the Brahmana family. This system is still current. People who are Brahmanas by caste, who are born in the Brahmana family, must worship the Salagrama Sila. Unfortunately, with the progress of Kali Yuga, the so-called Brahmanas, although very proud of taking birth of Brahmana families, no longer worship Salagramasila. But actually, it has been a custom since time immemorable that a person born in the Brahmana family must worship the Salagramasila in all circumstances. In our Krishna consciousness society, some of the members are very anxious to introduce worship of the Salagramasila, but we have purposely refrained from introducing it because most of the members are Krishna consciousness movement do not originally come from the families of the Brahmana caste. After some time, when we find that they are actually situated strictly in the line of Brahmical behavior, Salagramasila worship will be introduced. In the age of worship of Salagramasila is not an important as the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. This is injection of the sutras here. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Rama, Kavilya, Kalu Nasti, Yava Nasti, Yava Nasti, Yava Gati, Yaneta. Srila Jiva Goswami opinion that by chanting the holy name offensively, one become completely perfect, nerveless. Just to purify this, purify the situation of the worship of the deities in the temple is also necessary. Therefore, when one is advanced in spiritual consciousness are perfectly situated in the spiritual platform, he may take the worship of the Salagrama Sila. The transference of the Lord from the heart of Jagannatha Misra to the heart of Sachi Mata is explained by the Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati paragraph as follows. It is to be concluded that Jagannatha Misra and Sachi Mata are Nitya Siddhas, ever pure associates of the Lord. Their hearts are always uncontaminated, and therefore they will never forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A common man in the material world has to contaminated heart. He must therefore first purify the heart to come to the transcendental position. But Jagannath Misra and Sachi Mata were not common men and women with contaminated hearts. When the heart is uncontaminated, it is said to be in the external position of the Vasudeva. Vasudeva can be a beget. Vasudeva or Krishna, who is a transcendentally situated. It is so understood that the Sachi Devi did not become pregnant as an ordinary womb because The pregnant must be a sense of indulgence. Indulgence. One should not think the pregnancy of the Sachi Mata to be that an ordinary woman, because that is an offense. One can understand the pregnancy of the Sachi Mata when one is actually advanced in spiritual consciousness and fully engaged in the devotion service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mataji, would you like to? Yeah, we can stop here. Would you like to say something, Mataji?
Say. I hold it.
Okay, Mataji. I think I see Sandhya Mataji raised her hand first. Mataji, you can go from in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is stated.
I just in Srimad Bhagavatam, Hare Krishna, in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.16, it is stated, Bhagavanapi Vishwatma Bhaktanam Apayam Karaha Aviveshamsha Bhagena Mana Anakadundubhe. This is a statement regarding the birth of Lord Krishna. The incarnation of the Lord entered the mind of Vasudeva and was then transferred to the mind of Devaki. Srila Sridhara Swami gives the following annotation in this connection. Mana avivesha manasi avirbhavuva jivanam iva na dhatu sambandha iti arthaha. There was no question of the seminal discharge necessary for the birth of an ordinary human being. Srila Rupa Goswami also comments in this connection that Lord Krishna first appeared in the mind of Anagadundubi Vasudeva and was then transferred to the mind of Devaki Devi. Thus, the spiritual bliss in the mind of Devaki Devi gradually increased, just as the moon increases every night until it becomes a full moon. At the time of his appearance, Lord Krishna came out of the mind of Devaki and appeared within the prison house of Kamsa by the side of Devaki's bed. At that time, by the spell of Yogamaya, Devaki thought that her child had now been born. In this connection, even the demigods from the celestial kingdom were also bewildered. As it is stated, Muhyandi yat Sureya, Bhagavatam 1:1:1. They came to offer their prayers to Devaki, thinking that the Supreme Lord was within her womb. The demigods came to Mathura from their celestial kingdom. This indicates that Mathura is still more important than the celestial kingdom of the upper planetary systems. Lord Krishna, as the eternal son of Yashoda Mai, is always present in Vrindavana. The pastimes of Lord Krishna are continuously going on within both this material world and the spiritual world. In such pastimes, the Lord always thinks himself the eternal son of Mother Yashoda and Father Nanda Maharaj. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 6, verse 43, it is stated, when magnanimous, broad-hearted Nanda Maharaj came back from a tour, he immediately took his son Krishna on his lap and experienced transcendental bliss by smelling his head. Similarly, in the 10th canto, 9th chapter, verse 21, it is said, this personality of Godhead, appearing as the son of a cowherd damsel, is easily available and understandable to devotees, whereas those who are under the concept of bodily life, even though they are very much advanced in austerity and penance, or even though they are great philosophers, are unable to understand him. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura next quotes Sripada Baladev Vidyabhushana, who refers to the prayers offered by the demigods to Lord Krishna in the womb of Devaki and summarizes the birth of Krishna as follows. As the rising moon manifests light in the east, so Devaki, who was always situated on the transcendental platform, having been initiated in the Krishna mantra by Vasudeva, the son of Shurasena, kept Krishna within her heart. From this statement of Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to 18, it is understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having been transferred from the heart of Anagadunduki or Vasudeva, manifested himself in the heart of Devaki. According to Srila Baldev Vidya Krishna, the heart of Devaki means the womb of Devaki, because in Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to 41, the demigods say, Dishtyamba te kukshigata parapuman. Mother Devaki, the Lord is already within your womb. Therefore, that the Lord was transferred from the heart of Vasudeva to the heart of Devaki means that he was transferred to the womb of Devaki. Similarly, in regard to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the words Vishesha Sevana Kare Govinda Charana, they specifically began to worship the lotus feet of Govinda, indicate that exactly as Krishna appeared in the heart of Devaki through the heart of Vasudeva, so Lord Chaitanya appeared in the heart of Sachi Devi through the heart of Jagannath Mishra. This is the mystery of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Consequently, one should not think of Lord Chaitanya's appearance as that of a common man or living entity. This subject matter is a little difficult to understand, but for devotees of the Lord, it will not at all be difficult to realize the statements given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Text 87. Haide haila garpatrayo dasha masa tatapi bhumishta nahe misrara haila trasam. That is, in this way, the pregnancy approached its 13th month, but still there was no sign of the delivery of the child. Thus, Jagannath Mishra became greatly apprehensive. Neelambara Chakravarti kahila ganiya e mase putra habe shubha kachana pana. That is, Neelambara Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then did an astrological calculation and said that in that very month, taking advantage of an auspicious moment, the child would take birth. Then, Chauda Shata Sata Shake Masa Ye Bhalguna Paurnama Sira Sandhya Kale Haila Shubhachana. That is, thus in the year of 1407 of the Shaka era, AD 1486, in the month of Phalguna, February, March, in the evening of the full moon day, the desired auspicious moment arrived. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, has presented the horoscope of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as follows. Shaka 1407, 1022, 28, 45. This is hard for me to read. Okay. The explanation of the horoscope given by Bhaktivinoda Thakura is that at the time of the birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the planets were situated as follows. Shukra, Venus, was in Mesha Rasi, that is in Aries, and the nakshatra, lunar mansion of Ashwini. Ketu, the 9th planet, was in Simha Rashi, Leo, and Uttara Phalguni, Chandra, the moon, was in the Purva Phalguni, the 11th lunar mansion. Shani, Saturn, was in the Vrishtika Rashi, Scorpio, and Jeshta. Brahaspati, Jupiter, was in Dhanu Rashi, Sagittarius, and Purvashadha. Mangala, Mars, was in Makara Rashi, Capricorn, and Shravana, Capricorn and Shravana. Ravi, the sun, was in Kumbha Rashi, Aquarius, and Purva Bhadrapada. Rahu was in Purva Bhadrapada, and Buddha, Mercury, was in Meena Rashi, Pisces, and Uttara Bhadrapada. The Lagna was Simha. Okay. And Simha Rashi, Simha Lagna, Ucha Graha Gana, Shadvarga, Ashtavarga, Sarva Sulakshana. According to the Jyotirveda or Vedic astrology, the auspicious birth moment is described as follows. The moon was in Leo, the figure of the lion in the zodiac. Leo was the ascendant. Several planets were strongly positioned, and Shatvarga and Ashtavarga showed all auspicious influences. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, who was previously a great astrologer, explains this verse as follows. The Shatvarga, 6 divisions are technically called Chetra, Hora, Drekana, Navamsha, Dwadashamsha, and Trimasamsha. Trimsamsha. According to Jyotirvedic astrology, when the relationship between the planets and the rulers of these 6 divisions is determined, the auspiciousness of the moment of birth can be calculated. In the book named Brahad Jataka and other books, there are directions for interpreting the movements of the stars and planets. One who knows the process of calculating the Ashtavarga, that is the 8 divisions, can predict auspicious and inauspicious events. This science is known especially by persons who are called Hora Shastravit, or those who know the astrological scriptures. On the strength of astrological calculations from the Hora scriptures, Neelambara Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had ascertained the auspicious moment when Lord would appear. Akalanga Gaura Chandra Dila Darshanam Sakalanga Chandre Arya Kona Prayojana. When the spotless moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became visible, what would be the need for a moon full of black marks on its body? Then, Yeta Jani Rahu Kaila Chandrera Grahana Krishna Krishna Hari Name Bhashe Tribhuvanam. Considering this, Rahu, the black planet, covered the full moon, and immediately vibrations of Krishna Krishna Hari inundated the 3 worlds. According to the Jyotirveda, a lunar eclipse takes place when the Rahu planet comes in front of the full moon. It is customary in India that all the followers of the Vedic scriptures bathe in the Ganges or the sea as soon as there is a lunar or solar eclipse. All strict followers of the Vedic religion stand up in the water throughout the whole period of the eclipse and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. At the time of the birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, such a lunar eclipse took place, and naturally all the people standing in the water were chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then Jaya Jaya Thwani Haila Sakala Bhuvana Chamatkara Haya Loga Bhave Mane Manam. All people thus chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra during the lunar eclipse, and their minds were struck with wonder. Jagat Bhariya Loga Bale Hari Hari Sai Chane Gaura Krishna Bhume Avatari. That is when the whole world was thus chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna in the form of Gaura Hari advented himself on the earth. Hare Krishna. Prasanna Haila Sabha Jagatera Mana Hari Bali Hindu ke Hasya Karaye Yavanam. The whole world was pleased while the Hindus chanted the holy name of the Lord. The non-Hindus, especially the Muslims, jokingly imitated the words. Although Muslims or non-Hindus have no interest in chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Muslims in Navadvipa imitated the Hindus as they chanted during the lunar eclipse. Thus, the Hindus and Muslims joined together in chanting the holy name of the Lord when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invented himself. Hari Bali Nagari Nari Ganadai Hula Huli Sorke Vadya Nritya Kare Deva Kutuhali. While all the ladies vibrated the holy name of Hari on earth, in the heavenly planets, dancing and music were going on, for the demigods were very curious. Prasanna Hailas Dashadik, Prasanna Nadi Jala, Stavara Jangama Haila, Anandevi Vala. In this atmosphere, all the 10 directions became jubilant, as did the waves of the rivers. Moreover, all beings, moving and non-moving, were overwhelmed with transcendental bliss. Text 98. Nadiya Udayagiri Purna Chandra Gaurahari Kripakari Haila Udaya Papatama Haila Nasha Tri Jagatera Ullasa Jagat Bhari Hari Dhwani Haya. Thus, by his causeless mercy, the full moon Gaurahari rose in the district of Nadia, which is compared to Udayagiri, where the sun first becomes visible. His rising in the sky dissipated the darkness of sinful life, and thus the three worlds became joyful and chanted the holy name of the Lord. Saikale Nijalaya Udhiya Advaitaraya Nritya Kare Anandida Mane Haridase Lana Sange Hungara Kirtana Range Kene Nache Keha Nahi Jane. At that time, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, in his own house at Shantipura, was dancing in a pleasing mood. Taking Haridas Thakur with him, he danced and loudly chanted Hare Krishna. But why they were dancing, no one could understand. It is understood that Advaita Prabhu at that time was in his own paternal house at Shantipura. Haridas Thakur frequently used to meet him. Coincidentally, therefore, he was also there, and upon the birth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both of them immediately began to dance. But no one in Shantipura could understand why those two saintly persons were dancing. Dekhi uparaga hasi Sikra Ganga Kate Asi Anande Korila Ganga Snana Pana Uparaga Chale Apanara Manobele Brahmanera Dila Nana Dana. Seeing the lunar eclipse and laughing, Advaitacharya and Haridas Thakur immediately went to the bank of the Ganges and bathed in the river in great jubilation. Taking advantage of the occasion of the lunar eclipse, Advaitacharya, by his mental strength, distributed various types of charity to the Brahmanas. It is the custom of Hindus to give in charity to the poor as much as possible during the time of a lunar or solar eclipse. Advaita Acharya, therefore, taking advantage of this eclipse, distributed many varieties of charity to the Brahmanas. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.3.11, there is a statement that when Krishna took his birth, Vasudeva immediately took advantage of this moment and distributed 10,000 cows to the Brahmanas. It is customary among Hindus that at the time a child is born, especially a male child, the parents distribute great charity in jubilation. Advaita Acharya was actually interested in distributing charity because of Lord Chaitanya's birth at the time of the lunar eclipse. People could not understand, however, why Advaita Acharya was giving such a charity, such a great variety of things in charity. He did so not because of the lunar eclipse, but because of the Lord's taking birth at that moment. He distributed charity exactly as Vasudeva did at the time of Lord Krishna's appearance. Jagadanandamaya dekhi mane somismaya thare thore kahe haridasa tomara ichana ranga mora mana prasanna dekhi kichu karye ache bhasha. When he saw that the whole world was jubilant, Haridas Thakura, in his mind astonished, directly and indirectly expressed himself to Advaita Acharya. Your dancing and distributing charity are very pleasing to me. I can understand that there is some special purpose in these actions. Then,
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Would you like to
much.
say something on whatever you read?
So beautiful to see the moment of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance at the time of the lunar eclipse. He appeared with the luster of the full moon, and the whole world was happy. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. I saw Sangeeta Mataji hand was raised. Sangeeta Mataji, would you
Hare
like to?
Yes, I can read, Mataji. For 10 minutes, is it okay? 10 minutes?
Sure, Mataji, whatever works for you.
Okay, thank you. Krishna. So I'm reading from text. Sorry, I was hearing and I didn't. Which text I'm reading from?
102. 102.
Not two. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay. Acharya Ratna Srivasa Haila Mane Shukholasa Yai Sanana Kaila Ganga Jale Anande Vihavala Mana Kare Hari Sankirtana Nana Dana Kaila Mano Bhale. Translation: Acharya Ratna Chandrasekhara and Srivas Thakur were overwhelmed with joy, and immediately they went to the bank of the Ganges to bathe in her waters. Their minds full of happiness, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and gave charity by mental strength. Ei Mata Bhakta Tati Yanra Yei Deshe Sthiti Tahan Pana Mano Bale Nache Kare Sankirtana Anande Vihavala Mana Dana Kare Graha Nera Chale. In this way, all the devotees, wherever they were situated, in every city and every country, danced, performed Sankirtana, and gave charity by mental strength on the plea of the lunar eclipse, their minds overwhelmed with joy. Brahmana Sajna Nari Nana Bravai Thali Bari Aila Sabe Yautuka La Iya Yena Kancha Sona Duty Dekhi Bala Kera Murti Ashirvada Kare Sukha Pana. All sorts of respectable Brahmana, gentlemen, and ladies carrying plates filled with various gifts came with their presentations. Seeing the newborn child, whose form resembled natural glaring gold, all of them happily offered their blessings. Savitri Gauri Saraswati Sachi Ramba Arunaditi Arayata Deva Narigana Nana Brahve Patra Bhari Brahmani Nira Veshadhari Ashisabe Kare Darashana. Dressing themselves as the wives of Brahmanas, all the celestial ladies, including the wives of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Narsimhadeva, King Indra, and Vashishta Rishi, along with Ramba, a dancing girl of heaven, came there with varieties of gifts. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a newborn baby, he was visited by the neighboring ladies, most of whom were the wives of respectable Brahmanas. In the dress of Brahmanas' wives, celestial ladies like the wives of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who also came to see the newborn child. Ordinary people saw them as respectable Brahmanas, ladies of the neighborhood, but actually they were all celestial ladies dressed in that way. Antarikshe devagana gandharva siddhacharana stuti nritya kare vadya gita nartaka vadhaka bhata navadvipe yara nata sabhe ashi nache panaprita. In outer space, all the demigods, including the inhabitants of Gandharva Loka, Siddha Loka, and Charana Loka, offered their prayers and danced to the accompaniment of music, songs, and the beating of drums. Similarly, in Navadvipa city, all the professional dancers, musicians, and blessers gathered together, dancing in great jubilation. Purport. As there are professional singers, dancers, and reciters of prayers in the heavenly planets, so in India still there are professional dancers, blessers, and singers, all of whom assemble together during householder ceremonies, especially marriages and birth ceremonies. These professional men earn their livelihood by taking charity on such occasions from the homes of the Hindus. Inuits also take advantage of such ceremonies to receive charity. That is their means of livelihood. Such men never become servants or engage themselves in agriculture or business occupations. They simply take charity from neighborhood friends to maintain themselves peacefully. The bhattas are a class of brahmanas who go to such ceremonies to offer blessings by composing poems and references to the Vedic scriptures. केबा आशे केबा याया केबा नाचे केबा गाया संभालिते नारे कारा बोला खांदी लेका दुखाल शोका परमोदा पुरीता लोका मिश्रा हैला आनंदे विह्वला. No one could understand who was coming and who was going, who was dancing, who was singing, nor could they understand one another's language. Yet all unhappiness and lamentation were immediately dissipated, and people became all jubilant. Thus, Jagannath Mishra was also overwhelmed with joy. Acharya Ratna Srivasa Jagannath Mishra Pasha Ashitan Tanre Kara Shava Dhana Karaila Cha Takarma Ye Achila Vidhi Dharma Tabe Mishra Kare Nana Dhana. Chandrasekharacharya and Srivas Thakur both came to Jagannath Mishra and drew his attention in various ways. They performed the ritualistic ceremonies prescribed at the time of birth according to religious principles. Jagannath Mishra also gave varieties of charity. Yotuka pailayata ghareva achila kata sabadana vipre dila dana yata narataka gaina bhata akinchana jana dana diya kaila sabharamana. Whatever riches Jagannath Mishra collected in form of gifts and presentations, and whatever he had in his house, he distributed among the brahmanas, professional singers, dancers, bhattas, and the poor. He honored them all by giving them riches and charity. Srivasera Brahmani Namatandra Malani Acharya Ratnera Patni Sange Sindura Haridra Taila Khai Kala Narike Diya Puje Nari Gana Range. The wife of Srivas Thakur, whose name was Malini, accompanied by the wife of Chandrasekhar, Acharya Ratna, and other ladies, came there in great happiness to worship the baby with paraphernalia such as vermilion, turmeric, oil, fused rice, bananas, and coconuts. Vermilion, khai, fused rice, bananas, coconuts, and turmeric mixed with oil are all auspicious gifts for such a ceremony. As there is puffed rice, So there is another preparation of rice called kha-e or fused rice, which along with bananas is taken as a very auspicious presentation. Also, turmeric mixed with oil and vermilion makes an auspicious ointment that is smeared over the body of a newborn baby or a person who is going to marry. These are all auspicious activities in family affairs. We see that 500 years ago, at birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these ceremonies were performed rigidly. But at present, such ritualistic performances hardly ever take place. Generally, a pregnant mother is sent to the hospital, and as soon as her child is born, he is washed with an antiseptic, and this concludes everything. Mataji, I'll stop here. Hare Krishna.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you. Would you like to say something on whatever you have?
Just so much, everybody's so jubilant and all the auspicious things happening, and so nice to read this, and it's really nice experience reading this. That's all. You feel jubilant even reading this, and I can imagine when this was happening. So
I am. Yes, thank you, Mataji. Anyone who would like to read? I don't see any raising hands.
I can read, Mataji.
Please go ahead, Mataji.
Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, we can hear you.
Okay.
One.
We'll start from text.
One.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Text 111. Advaita Acharya Bharya Jagat Pujita Arya Nama Tanra Sita Thakurani Acharyera Agnapana Gela Upahara Lana Dekhi Deva Laka Siromani. Translation. One day shortly after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya's wife, Sita Devi, who is worshipable by the whole world, took her husband's permission and went to see the topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presentations. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It appears that Advaita Acharya had two different houses, one at Shantipur and one at Navadvip. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya was residing not at his Navadvipa house, but at his Shantipura house. Therefore, as formally explained, text 99, from Advaita's old paternal house, Nijalaya in Shantipura, Sita came to Navadvipa to present gifts to the newborn child, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 112. Suvarnera Kadibauli Rajata Mudra Pashuli Suvarnera Angada Kankana. I'm not sure of the meter. Du Bahute Divya Shankha Rajatera Malabanka Swarna Mudrara Nana Hara Gana. She brought different kinds of golden ornaments, including armlets, necklaces, anklets, and bangles for the hands. Vyagranaka Hemajari Katipata Sutradori Hasta Padera Yata Abaharana Chitravarna Patta Sadi Buni Photo Patta Padi Swarna Raupya Mudra Bahudhana. There were also tiger nails set in gold, vase decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented to the child. Purport. From the gifts presented by Sita Thakurani, Advaita Acharya's wife, it appears that Advaita Acharya was at that time a very rich man. Although Brahmanas are not the rich men of society, Advaita Acharya, being the leader of the Brahmanas in Shantipura, was considerably well-to-do. Therefore, he presented many ornaments to the baby, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Kamalakanta Vishwasha, asking for 300 rupees from the king of Jagannath Puri, Maharaj Prataparudra, on the plea that Advaita Acharya was in debt for that amount, indicates that such a rich man who could present many valuable ornaments, saris, etc., thought it difficult to repay 300 rupees. Therefore, the value of rupee at that time was many thousands of times what it is now. At present, no one feels difficulty over a debt of 300 rupees, nor can an ordinary man accumulate such valuable ornaments to present to friend's son. Probably the value of 300 rupees at that time was equal to present value of 30,000 rupees. Durvadhanya Gocharana Haritra Kuma Chandana Mangala Dravya Patra Bhariya Vastra Gupta Dola Chadi Sange Lana Dashi Chadi Vastra Lankara Petari Bhariya. Riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants, Sita Chakarani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, gocharna, turmeric, kumkuma, and sandalwood. All these presentations filled a large basket. Purport. The word Vastragupta Dola are very significant in this verse. Even 50 or 60 years ago in Calcutta, all respectable ladies would go to the neighboring place riding on a palanquin carried by 4 men. The palanquin was covered with soft cotton, and in that way there was no chance of seeing a respectable lady traveling in public. Ladies, especially those coming from respectable families, could not be seen by ordinary men. This system is still current in remote places. The Sanskrit word Asurya Pasha indicates that a respectable lady could not be seen even by the sun. In the Oriental culture, the system was very prevalent and was strictly observed by respectable ladies, both Hindu and Muslim. We have actual experience in our childhood that our mother would not walk even our next door to observe an invitation. Rather, she would go in either a carriage or a palanquin carried by 4 men. This custom was strictly followed 500 years ago, and the wife of Advaita Acharya, being a very respectable lady, observed the customary rules current in that social environment. Text 115. Bhaksha bhojya upahara sange la ila bahu bhara sachi grehe haila upanita dekhiya balaka thama sakshat gokulakana Varna Matra Dekhi Viparita. When Sita Chakarani came to the house of Sachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newborn child, for she appreciated that, except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna of Gokula himself. Purport. A Petari is a kind of big basket that is carried in pairs on the ends of a rod balanced over the shoulders. The man who carries such a load is called a bhari. This system of carrying luggage and packages is still current in India and other Oriental countries. And we have seen that the same system is still current even in Jakarta, Indonesia. Sarva Anga Sunirmana Suvarna Pratima Bhana Sarva Anga Sulakshana Maya Balakera Divya Jyoti Dekhi Paila Bahu Priti Vatsal Yete Dravila Hridaya. Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the child, each of his nicely constructed limbs full of auspicious lines and resembling a form of gold, Sita Chakarani was very pleased, and because of her maternal affection, she felt as if her heart were melting. Durva Dhanya Dila Sirshe Kaila Bahu Ashishe Chira Jivi Hoy Dui Bhai Dakini Sankhini Haite Shanka Upajila Chite Dare Nama Thoila Nimai. She blessed the newborn child by placing fresh grass and paddy on his head and saying, "May you be blessed with a long duration of life." But being afraid of ghosts and witches, she gave the child the name Nimai. Purport. Dakini and Sankhini are two companions of Lord Shiva and his wife who are supposed to be extremely inauspicious, having been born of ghostly life. It is believed that such inauspicious living creatures cannot go near a neem tree. At least medically, it is accepted that neem wood is extremely antiseptic, and formerly it was customary to have a neem tree in front of one's house. On very large roads in India, especially in Uttar Pradesh, there are hundreds and thousands of neem trees. Neem wood is so antiseptic that the Ayurvedic science uses it to cure leprosy. Medical scientists have extracted the active principle of the neem tree, which is called margosic acid. Neem is used for many purposes, especially to brush the teeth. In Indian villages, 90% of the people use neem twigs for this purpose because of all the antiseptic effects of the neem tree, and because Lord Chaitanya was born beneath a neem tree. Sita Chakrani gave the Lord the name Nimai. Later in his youth, he was celebrated as a Nimai Pandita, and in the neighboring villages, he was called by that name, although his real name was Vishwambhara. Text 118. Putra Mata Snanadine Dila Vastra Vibhushane Putra Saha Mishrere Sammani Sachi Mishra Puja Lana Manite Harisha Hana Ghare Aila Sita Thakurani. On the day the mother and the son bathed and left the maternity home, Sita Thakurani gave them all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Jagannath Mishra. Then Sita Thakurani, being honored by Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind, and thus she returned home. Purport. On the 5th day from the birth of a child, as also on the 9th day, the mother bathes either in the Ganges or in another sacred place. This is called Nishkramana, or the ceremony of coming out of the maternity home. Nowadays, the maternity home is a hospital, but formerly in every respectable house, one room was set aside as a maternity home, where children would take birth, and on the 9th day after the birth of a child, the mother would come into the regular rooms in the ceremony called Nishkramana. On the 10 purificatory processes, Nishkramana is one. Formerly, especially in Bengal, the higher caste observed 4 months after the birth of a child as a quarantine. At the end of 4th month, the mother could see the sunrise. Later, the higher caste, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, observed only 21 days as a quarantine, whereas the Shudras had to observe 30 days. For the sections of society known as Karta, Bhaja, and Shatima, the mother of a child was immediately purified after the quarantine by the throwing of Hari Nutta, a small pieces of sweet meat in Sankirtana. Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra with the newborn child were honored by Sita Thakurani. Similarly, while Sita Thakurani was returning home, she was also honored by Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra. That was the system in respectable families of Bengal. Aiche Sachi Jagannatha Putra Pana Lakshmi Natha Purna Haila Sakala Vanchita Dhana Dhanye Bhare Ghara Lokamanya Kalevara Dine Dine Haya Anadita. In this way, Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, having obtained a son who was the husband of the goddess of fortune, had all their desires fulfilled. Their house was always filled with riches and grains. As they saw the beloved body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, day after day their pleasure increased. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everyone offered respects to him. Even the denizens of heaven used to come in the dress of ordinary men to offer their respect to the Lord. His father and mother, Jagannath Mishra and Sachidevi, seeing the honor of their transcendental son, also became very pleased within their hearts. Mishra, Vaishnava, Shanta, Alam, Pata, Suddha, Danta, Dhana, Bhoge, Nahi, Abhimana. Putrera Prabhave Yata, Dhana, Asi, Mile, Tata, Vishnu, Prite, Dvije, Dena, Dana. Jagannath Mishra was an ideal Vaishnava. He was peaceful, restrained in sense gratification, pure and controlled. Therefore, he had no desire to enjoy material opulence. Whatever money came because of the influence of his transcendental son, he gave it in charity to the Brahmanas for the satisfaction of Vishnu. I will stop here. Would anybody else like to read?
I can read, Mataji, for a bit.
Okay, sure, Prabhu. Thank you.
Lagnagani Harshamati Nilambara Chakravarti Gupta Kichu Kahila Misrera Mahapurushera Chihnaladne Ange Binna Binna Deke Etari Be Samsare. After calculating the birth moment of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nilambar Chakravarti privately said to Jagannath Mishra that he saw all the different symptoms of a great personality in both the body and birth moment of the child. Thus, he understood that in the future, this child would deliver all the three worlds. Eche Prabhu Sachi Gare Krupaya Kaila Avatare Ye Ihakara Yeshravana Gaura Prabhu Daya Maya Tandra Hayena Sadaya Seyi Paya Tanhara Charana. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, made his advent in the house of Sri Sachidevi. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful to anyone who hears this narration of his birth, and thus such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. Haribo. We are all reading the story. We are blessed. Paya Manusha Janma Ena Suna Gauragana Hina Janma Tara Vyartha Hela Paya Amruta Duni Piya Visa Karta Pani Janmiya Se Kena Nahi Maila. Anyone who attains human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amruta Duni is a flowing river of nectar of devotional service. If after getting human body, one drinks the water in the poison, in a pit of material happiness instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for him not have lived, but to have died long ago. In this connection, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has composed the following verse in Chaitanya Chandramrita. This material world is without Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna consciousness personified. Therefore, if a very learned or a scientist does not understand Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, certainly he is wandering uselessly in this world. A person who does not take advantage of the nectar devotional service overflowing during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is certainly poorest of the poor. The advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just like an expanding ocean of nectar, one who does not collect the valuable jewels within this ocean is certainly the poorest of the poor. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 2, 3, 19, 20, 23 says, oh, these are nice verses. So, a person who has no connection with Krishna consciousness may not be a very great personality in so-called human society, but actually he is no better than maybe a very great personality in so-called human society, but actually he is no better than a great animal. Such big animals are generally praised by other animals like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. A person who does not lend his oral reception to hearing about the personality of Godhead must be considered to have ear holes like the holes in a field. Although that person has a tongue, it is like the tongue of a frog, which unnecessarily creates a disturbance by croaking, inviting the snake of death. Similarly, if a person who neither takes advantage of the dust of the lotus feet of great devotee, nor smells the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, must be considered dead, even though he is supposedly working. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.1.4 states, Nivrittatarshaya upagiyamanaat bhavavshadat shotra manobhiramat kha uttama sloka gunanuvadat human virajyata vina pasuganat. Who but the animal killer or the killer of the soul will not care to hear glorification of the personality of Godhead? Such glorification is enjoyed by persons liberated from the contamination of this material world. Similarly, Bhagavatam 3.23.56 says, Natita pada seva yai jivana pimrutos saha. Although a person is apparently living, if he does not serve the lotus feet of a great devotee, he is considered a dead body. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Acharya Advaita Chandra Swarupa Rupa Raghunada Dasa Inha Sabara Shri Charana Shire Vandine Chadana Janma Lila Gale Krishna Dasa. Taking on my head as my property the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Acharya Advaita Chandra, Sharup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Raghunadas Goswami, I, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, have thus described the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Advaita Prabhu, Sri Swarup Damodara, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das, and their followers are all accepted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Anyone who follows in the footsteps of Kaviraj Goswami also accepts the lotus feet of the above mentioned lords as his personal property. For a materialistic person, material wealth and opulence are only illusory. Actually, they are not possession but entanglements, because by enjoying the material world, a conditioned soul becomes more and more entangled in incurring debts for his personal enjoyment. Unfortunately, a conditioned soul considers property for which he is in debt to be his own, and he is very busy acquiring such property. But a devotee considers such property not real property, but simply an entanglement in the material world. If Lord Krishna is very pleased with the devotee, he takes away his material property, as it states in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.88.8. Yasyaham anugraha nami harishye taddanam sane. To show special favor to a devotee, I take away all his material property. Similarly, Narottam Das Thakur says, Dhanam Mora Nityananda Radha Krishna Shri Charana Stay More Pranadhanam. My real riches are Nityananda Prabhu and the lotus feet of Shri Radha Krishna. He further prays, O Lord, kindly give me this opulence. I do not want anything but your lotus feet as my property. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in many places that his real property is the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Unfortunately, we are interested in unreal property and are neglecting our real property. Sometimes Matas consider Raghunadas Goswami as Sudra. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami here especially mentions Swarupa Rupa Raghunath Dasa. Therefore, one who considers the lotus feet of Raghunath Dasa to be the transcendental to all divisions of caste system enjoys the riches of actual spiritual bliss. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, 13th chapter, describing the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With that, we will go to summary of 14th chapter in the next 4 minutes.
Haribol.
Oh, Chintamani Mata, you raised your hand. There is no Bengali here. You can read this paragraph.
Okay, Prabhu.
Chapter 14, Lord Chaitanya's Childhood Pastimes. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given a summary of this chapter in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. In the 14th chapter, there is a description of how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed his childhood pastimes, crawling, crying, eating dirt, and giving intelligence to his mother, favoring a Brahmana guest, riding on the shoulders of two thieves and misleading them to his own house, and on the plea of being deceased, taking prasadam in the house of Hiranya and Jagadish on the Ekadashi day. The chapter further describes how he displayed himself as a naughty boy, how when his mother fainted, he brought a coconut to her on his head, how he joked with girls of the same age on the banks of the Ganges, how he accepted worshipful paraphernalia from Srimati Lakshmi Devi, how he sat down in the garbage pit and instructed his mother in transcendental knowledge, how he left the pit on the order of his mother, and how he dealt with his father with full affection.
You read the next verse also, ma. This is the very famous verse and very important verse. That's the reason I highlighted in full yellow.
Okay, so text 1. Kathanchana smrite yasmin dushkaram sukharam bhavit vishmite viparitam syat Shri Chaitanyam namamitam. Things, okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. To this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances. Purport. In his book Chaitanya Chandramrita, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati says, one who receives a little favor from the Lord becomes so exalted that he does not care even for liberation, which is sought after by many great scholars and philosophers. Similarly, a devotee of Lord Chaitanya considers residence in the heavenly planets a will-o'-the-wisp. He surpasses the perfection of mystic yoga power, because for him the senses are like snakes with broken fangs. A snake is a very fearful and dangerous animal because of his poisonous fangs. But if these fangs are broken, the appearance of a snake is no cause for fear. The yoga principles are meant to control the senses, but there is no scope for the senses of one engaged in the service of the Lord to be dangerous like snakes. These are the gifts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Haribhakti Vilas confirms that difficult things become easy to understand if one remembers Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And easy things become very difficult to understand if one forgets him. We actually see that even those who are very great scientists in the eyes of the general public cannot understand the very simple idea that life comes from life, because they do not have the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They defend the false understanding that life comes from matter, although they cannot prove that this is a fact. Modern civilization, therefore, progressing on the basis of this false scientific theory, is simply creating problems to be solved by the so-called scientists. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita takes shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to describe the pastimes of his appearance as a child, because one cannot write such transcendental literature by mental speculation. One who writes about the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be especially favored by the Lord. Simply by academic qualifications, it is not possible to write such literature.
Haribol.
Haribol. Continue up to 5.
Haribol.
No, Mataji. So, you want to continue until 5? Okay, go for it then.
Okay.
I thought we'll have some sharings because,
Yes. Well,
yeah, especially like, wonderful devotees, especially I've been missing a lot from Sangeeta Mataji. So,
Yes.
Yeah. But in any case, I will go first. It is just so nectarian. I sincerely thank you all so much for your presence. With the company, we can read it easily. And especially I'm in appreciation of Prabhupada, Prabhupada's explanations. Even the previous chapter in the last verse, Prabhupada was explaining about the keeping the lotus feet of great devotees as one's property, and so on. It's just and earlier also, like when the topic came up by Ekachakradam, he just went on and on and on, what are the current affairs going in the Ekachakradam. He was explaining all those things. So I'm feeling sheltered and protected, and I pray to feel it a little bit deeper in my heart. But I'm very thankful. Yeah, these are some highlights. Yes, Mother. I'll take over other sharing. Mother, who can, please, I'll say something.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Bol, Mataji.
Like I mentioned before, it's so nectarian.
It's been so long time hearing your sharings, and your sharings are the top class, actually.
Not really, please don't say that. But it's really, really very nectarian, and even reading how everybody's feeling so jubilant and dancing and singing, and Advaitacharya sitting in Shantipura and with the Haridas Thakur being in such a jubilant mood, and because
Really, he
Lord
brought that to this world, right? I don't think otherwise there is any other similar dancing and that kind of ecstatic happiness, right?
I'm sorry, Prabhuji?
Really, Lord Chaitanya and his associates brought that kind of dance and happiness to this world.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't, I cannot, relate if there is any other similar happiness things in this world.
Right, you're absolutely right. So it's very, very nectarian, and thank you so much. That's all my sharing is.
Hare Bol, Mataji.
Hare Bol.
Vasanta Mataji.
Hare Bol.
Your good sharings.
Thank you. I want to share. So I am very interested in sharing.
Yes. Please share.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
ఏం నచ్చింది మీకు అన్నిటిలోకి?
నచ్చడం ఏంటంటే చైతన్య మహాప్రభు అన్ని చదువుతుంటే అన్ని బాగున్నాయి నాకు. బర్త్ సిమ్టమ్స్ అన్ని చాలా బాగున్నాయి. నచ్చడం ఏంటి ఉండబట్టే నేను ఓసారి చదివాను, మళ్ళీ చదువుతున్నాను. మీరు బుక్స్ ఇవ్వగానే కూర్చొని చదివేసుకున్నాను.
అవునా?
చదువుతాను. టైం ఉంటే చాలు ఏవో పుస్తకాలు చదువుతూ ఉంటాను. చదివాను, ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ చదువుతున్నాను. ఆపర్చునిటీ ఇచ్చారు మీరు. థ్యాంక్స్ ఫర్
నైస్. She is telling that she already read it once and then it's very nectarian. She is keeping on reading again, translating in English. Thank you, Vasanta Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay, we will go in the order now. Chintamani Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I mean, just as everyone said, it is so nice, so nectarian. When Mahaprabhu appeared, not only did he appear before appearing, he brought the Harinam. Everybody was chanting the Harinam on the Ganges, and not only him, I mean, not only that, and people just in this planet, but even the demigods and everybody.
Even he made the Muslims also chant the mantra.
The Muslims, yes. I mean, that is wonderful.
In the lunar replics also, all of them chant there.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. So the whole world was chanting Hari, Hari, Hari.
All good signals are coming in the birth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes. All the good signs, yes.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Mataji. Govinda Mohan Mataji.
What you are saying?
I'm asking Govinda Mohini Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I mean, I would like to just chime in with what everybody's saying. It is so, like, even though we have read in the past, this past times of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, it's always really nice to recite them again and again, how Vasanta Mataji is sharing how she has read, but she continues to read again and again. And, the first verse of this chapter, that remembering Lord Chaitanya, everything, the most difficult thing become easy. And if you don't remember him, even easy things become difficult. So I want to take that as an application point to, try to reach out and call out for Lord Chaitanya's mercy.
At least this is the favorite verse of Amritkali Mataji. She only said.
It's my also favorite verse. That's also my favorite, one of my favorite verses.
But also it also makes sense, no? When we don't remember,
it makes sense.
Things also become a bit difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So that. And then, from yesterday's reading, I also want to share that, I was just contemplating about a reading that we had yesterday, and the reasons for, Lord Chaitanya's appearance. I was actually thinking, how much compassion he has. Like, we hear that Lord doesn't have to come, but he came and he became a devotee to show us how exactly to become one. So I was just really feeling Lord Chaitanya's compassion and his mercy by him coming himself when he could have done it any other way. So,
I was recently hearing, how a teacher, is a degree holder and everything, but when she goes to teaching, and she, for the sake of teaching, she also repeats the word A, B, C, D. So like, Krishna is taking that role.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Not only that, he actually went through so much difficulty in sannyas, giving up his beautiful wife, his mother.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard one. Okay, there are 2 iPhones, dear devotees. You have to reveal your sharings.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribol
I
Mataji.
have all obeisances of Lord Srila Prabhupada. Today's reading was very, very so beautiful that when Lord, whatever Mataji explained, I was going to explain before that even the Muslim people, before he came, even the Muslim people, he just made chant. Even though they were doing the copy, imitate the people, but still they were singing like a Harinam. And the other also, I would like whatever Mataji says, the last Chintamani Mataji read that when one remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everything, whatever the Govindmani Mataji just told that. And I underline also that one, I love that verse too much, Prabhuji. And so many things and so many people, the Navdvip Vasi, they just came and they just bring so many ornaments and from the heavenly planets, the Apsara came, Rudang and everything for Gandharva's planet. So people, they were so happy. So when we can see when Lord take birth and how the everything auspicious, from everywhere. So really, I like all the points today, whole thing,
We are in the
whatever.
fortunate time.
Yeah, fortunate time. So it's very, very nice, and like to hear again and again, read and hear and everything, the past
Yes,
times.
Mataji. Yeah, we are only done with 2 days, only 3 more days left, and then the long time.
It was really, really nice. Give me so much happiness and bliss.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
In
you.
the Prabhu, in the olden days, giving gifts is a custom to all in the villages. That is a
Prabhuji.
custom. A boy born, they all of them collect, get gifts and give them to the newly born boy.
Nice. Then we have iPhone, someone, and then Krishna Prabhu and Sandhya Mataji and Sunita Mataji. Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu is on, my son Krishna is on tour.
Oh, really? Oh, someone is Krishna here. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, he is not
This
here.
is
Camp.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Krishna Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Go for it, Mataji. How are you liking?
I actually just joined today. Almost, I might have missed like a verse or two. Out of today's reading, I actually really liked the one where it was mentioning things are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow simply remembers Lord Chaitanya. I mean, given that I had a really rough day, it was Chaitanya Prabhu's mercy that he's giving me the answer that remember me and the days will go easy. So it was just a way of his telling me like, don't forget me and it'll be fine.
Yes. Awesome. So nice. Okay, Sandhya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I am also holding on to that. Amritakali Mataji used to say it so often. I said, what is it? Let me learn that one. So I learned that verse. Kathanjana smrte yasmin dushkaram sugaram bhavet. Vismrte viviritam syat Sri Chaitanyam namamitam. I'm holding on to that, but I have difficulties, Prabhuji. I don't know how to get over my difficulties.
Oh, you are pretty, elevated, so.
Oh my goodness.
None of us can comment anything on that.
Don't say that.
Yeah, because Arjun Mataji was also telling the similar on the Sunday class. So, it is incomprehensible for us.
Hare Krishna, Govinda. Please pray for me.
Or even, when Prabhupada was quoting, he quotes often, and he was quoting in the previous chapter also. Krishna favored people, they're always into this difficulty. So 1088, right? In the end.
Hare Krishna. Please pray for me.
We are also, here it is. To show special favor to a devotee, I take away all his material property and so on. So we are all in different place. So you have to bless us, for
Hare Krishna, Govinda. I am asking for prayers from you all that I may not degrade. I mean, you should not.
Of course, of course. You also a little bit. Anyway, we will. Yeah, we will see.
We'll talk later. Okay, we will talk here.
Suniti Mataji.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. I joined today.
Here you go. You must have read, right? Okay,
I
gonna
will-
read tomorrow?
Maybe.
Okay.
I really liked reading today because I got to hear a lot about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Is it? Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay. So at this point, I want to request all of us, the esteemed devotees, we all of us 8 members are there. Please petition Lord Chaitanya, remembering that verse, the verse everyone liked, Kathanchana verse. Petition Lord Chaitanya, at least 10 sets get distributed, 10 more sets gets distributed this week. Please pray. Okay. Thank you all very much. I will not be there tomorrow, but some other devotees will be taking care. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.